I have your attention, please? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If I can have your attention, please. So the last person to speak buys all of us lunch. How about that? Wow, that worked. My name is Anita Erskine, and today I'll be hosting the opening plenary. Now, our second lady is in the building. We do have some VIPs, so they're exchanging some pleasantries. They'll be joining us in a few minutes. Just so you know, we've got free Wi-Fi for you. Please look out for the network that reads Kempinski, and the password is capital CCA, capital CCA. Now, I've just been informed that a lot of us don't have our tags, our registration tags. You absolutely need all your tags to access any and every single thing that's happening over the next 2 days. Now, behind the tag as well, you get to scan the QR code that automatically puts the app, the Clean Stoves app, on your phone or whichever gadget you're using. So please look out for that app as well. In the app or on the app, you can find all the updates for the next couple of days. Now, if you need anything, we do have ushers, we do have our security personnel who will be more than happy to guide you wherever you need to go. And if there are any issues that you have, whether relating to the conference or externally, please feel free to ask any of them for support. You would have seen the expo happening as well. We humbly request that you give them some support by also taking a look at everything that's happening at the expo. Thank you very much, and I do believe we're starting in a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, do please rise for the arrival of our special guest of honor. Our VIPs are walking in. Well, you can take a seat. I was just testing to see if you're paying attention. And of course, our gallant ambassador, Mr. Rocky Dawouni. Please do give him a round of applause. One of the coolest gentlemen on the planet. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the real arrival of our special guest of honor, the Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana. That's not her, that is the Minister of Energy. He wishes. And now here she is, the Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana. Please, a round of applause for Her Excellency Samira Baumia. And of course, she is with the CEO of Clean Cooking Alliance, Dimfna Van der Lans, also with a chairperson of GACO, Ajwa Etisawase, and of course, Honorable Dr. Matthew Opo Kuprempe, who came in just before that. And now, before you sit, a round of applause for yourselves. Please do give yourselves a round of applause for being here in your numbers. And now you may kindly take your seat. Thank you very much. I'll give the room about 20 seconds to settle down. And now that we're settled, ladies and gentlemen, please rise again for the national anthem of the Republic of Ghana. Please take your seats. I promise you won't be standing up again. Unless, of course, you feel a need to give someone a resounding round of applause, which I think you should do right now. Another round of applause. And Your Excellency, the Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana, our diplomatic corps, of course, beautifully and wonderfully, here is our Minister of Energy. And I asked you to stand up and sit a few times because I just wanted to see how much energy you have, since this is a conversation around energy. My name is Anita Erskine. This morning, we are starting 3 extraordinary days. This conversation around clean cooking, of course, beautifully brought to all of us by Clean Cooking Alliance. And I do believe the government of Ghana has also been listening, paying attention, and deeply invested in this conversation. Over the next 3 days, we have a lot of networking sessions. In between, we've got coffee breaks and lunch breaks. And do please take advantage of the numerous people that are here. We're here from different parts of the world in our wonderful city of Accra. I don't know where else you would have gone to, but you are very welcome to the beautiful city of Accra, Ghana. We are and always will be the Black Star. You know that, right? Yes, indeed. A round of applause for the Black Star. Ladies and gentlemen, to get things going, we do have a few remarks coming from a lot of VIPs here to you. I'm going to humbly request that you put all your phones on silent. But as your phones are on silent, do please also remember to tag us, to tweet, tell the world where you are and what is happening. Even though there's just about 700 of us in this room, we do believe that the billions around the world do deserve to know more about clean cooking. And that's why we're having the Clean Cooking Forum 2022. Now, let's go to our first welcome address. Do allow me, and this clap should be quite loud because she is the CEO of Clean Cooking Alliance, to bring onto the stage Dimfna Van der Lans.
Thank you. It's quite overwhelming to see so many of you here. It's just wonderful that we're in such large numbers, and I just am truly grateful for all of you being here, really. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the Clean Cooking Forum 2022. First of all, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the government of Ghana for co-hosting this year's Clean Cooking Forum. We are honored to have the Honorable Ambassador, Dr. Mokawa Blai Adu Kambi, Presidential Advisor, Her Excellency Samira Bubami, Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana, and the Honorable Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, Minister of Energy, here with us today. I thank all of you and your amazing teams for your continued strong support to CCA and the clean cooking ecosystem. It is fitting that we are gathered in Accra this week to celebrate and discuss investment, innovation, and impact across the clean cooking ecosystem. Ghana is a leading voice for a just energy transition, committed to providing modern energy services to its population. Already having one of the highest percentages of the population in sub-Saharan Africa connected to the electricity grid, Ghana is now focusing on the clean cooking sector, expanding the availability and use of modern cooking solutions in the years ahead. With Ghana-based companies such as Express Gas raising investments from DFIs and other investors, and other African companies like Burn and Cocoa Networks expanding into Ghana, the clean cooking sector is rapidly growing. The West African region as a whole is also attracting increasing flows of investment into the clean cooking sector. Nigeria, for example, has recently launched a national clean cooking policy, which is incentivizing a wave of clean cooking startups. The region is an emerging hub of social enterprise innovation and impact-driven business models, and I'm excited about the dynamic conversations we will have this week as we hear from leaders from business, finance, civil society, government, and academia. My gratitude also goes to our amazing partners for their generous sponsorship of the forum: the Netherlands Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Norwegian Agency for Development Cooperation, the World Bank and SMAP, the United Nations Capital Development Fund, Global Affairs Canada, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the European Commission, NDEF, DANIDA, UK8, MEX, the African Development Bank, Sustainable Energy for All, BICS Capital, the African Guarantee Fund, and the Africa Europe Foundation. And I think this actually does deserve applause. It is my great honor as the Chief Executive Officer of the Clean Cooking Alliance to be here with you all today. Cooking is a fundamental part of life. It is an activity that brings families together and has cultural and social significance across the world. Yet today, billions of people do not have the luxury of safe meal preparation. Instead, they depend on polluting open fires or inefficient climate-harming stoves to cook their daily meals, harming their health, the climate, and the environment. Providing clean energy to households is critical to achieving global climate and sustainable development goals. But despite its far-reaching benefits, clean cooking is too often seen as a second-tier priority. The level of funding and investment in the sector falls far short of sufficiently matching the global magnitude of the challenge. We all know these facts. I say them all the time, but I also know this is changing, and I'm hopeful those are sentences I will have to say less and less and less. Standing in front of all of you today, I'm both humbled and energized by your expertise and commitment to the clean cooking sector and our collective efforts to change that narrative and break those silos. We've seen incredible progress since the last time we were together in Kenya in 2019, with more than 500 million people gaining access to clean cooking since 2010, saving millions of lives and billions of dollars in economic impacts. While there is much more to do, the sector is indeed gaining momentum, and recent trends we're seeing represent a turning point. There is more recognition and integration of clean cooking into national climate and energy plans. Nearly 70 countries have included clean cooking as part of their nationally determined contributions to the Paris Climate Agreement. Countries are increasingly adding demand for electric cooking to their utility plans. And clean cooking enterprises are raising previously unheard of levels of capital. The amount of capital raised in the first part of 2022 alone is more than double than what was reported in 2020. The ecosystem continues to mature as more businesses and collaborators from other adjacent sectors develop partnerships and start new initiatives. The launch of the Spark Plus Africa Fund shows the appetite of a wide range of investors for establishing and funding a vibrant ecosystem. As we look forward, I have great optimism that all of us here will continue to be on the front lines of achieving universal access to clean cooking. But we cannot do it alone or in isolation. It is my hope that this forum will provide opportunities for us to learn from each other's stories, for us to share insights on our journeys, for us to make connections and work towards more holistic, systemic approaches. At CCA, we fundamentally believe that strong collaboration and coordination across sectors and geographies and empowering national governments to lead ambitious clean cooking transitions through the delivery units network is essential to achieving universal access. There are many ways and many approaches to address the issue of access, and we need to embrace all of them, moving away from this sense of scarcity, of unhelpful competition, of one solution fixing it all, to one of appreciating other partners' ability to contribute to this urgent challenge. We believe in the power of creative partnerships and in the value of a strong clean cooking ecosystem, comprised of sustained, well-coordinated engagement from diverse actors in our and adjacent sectors: climate, energy, infrastructure, health, and yes, nature and food systems. As a critical stop on the road to COP27 in Egypt, this year's Clean Cooking Forum incorporates inputs from across the global ecosystem to deliver 24 highly curated sessions designed to increase commitment, action, innovation, and investment. Every day, sessions will follow a theme unique to each meeting room. Participants are welcome to stay in one room for a deep dive into a particular theme or move between rooms. Themes such as delivering solutions at scale, putting people at the heart of clean cooking transitions, realizing the enabling environment for clean cooking, achieving SDGs and net zero with clean cooking, resilient cities, communities, and landscapes, and innovative finance to transform clean cooking markets. That is not all. As an increasingly important segment in the clean cooking ecosystem, various aspects of the carbon markets will be discussed throughout the 2 days. The Innovation Expo showcases a wide range of developments from 33 companies and other organizations helping to drive the clean cooking ecosystem forward. And the B2B networking session allows participants to connect directly to expand their networks. You can still sign up for the B2B booth outside. What inspires me every day is that I can see the unfolding potential of this ecosystem, of the partners, leaders, investors, entrepreneurs, and consumers, of all of you. We can do this if we work together because there is a lot to be done. With more than, I had written down 500, but I'm now realizing it's 700, with more than 700 people in attendance from countries across the world, and many more joining virtually, I have no doubt that the Clean Cooking Forum will provide an important platform for us all to help build a collaborative and impactful clean cooking ecosystem, where ambition, investment, and action align to assure no one is left behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dimfna van der Laan, CEO of Clean Cooking Alliance. And ladies and gentlemen, as she takes her seat, I would like to remind you once again, kindly put your phones on silent. I ask you very respectfully and humbly to do so. And now, here to give her welcome address, please give her a resounding round of applause, Her Excellency Samira Baumia, the Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana. Please rise as she takes the stage.
Thank you. Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh, Minister for Energy, my dear CEO, Dimfna van der Laan, Adjoa Say, Chairperson of Ghana Alliance for Clean Cooking, Your Excellencies, the Ambassador of Norway, the US Ambassador, and the Ambassador for Netherlands, our honorable ministers present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to Ghana and to the Clean Cooking Forum. Thank you for choosing us once again, Akwaba. Ghana is known for its hospitality, so I'm sure that over the next few days you're going to enjoy some really good hospitable people in Ghana here. I commend the Clean Cooking Alliance for your continued efforts at raising awareness on the relevance of access to clean energy, particularly clean cooking solutions and renewable energy technologies and solutions, and its impact on sustainable development and the well-being of women and children. Cooking is a fundamental part of life. It's an activity that brings families together and has a cultural and social significance around the world. Yet globally, especially in some developing countries, more than 2.5 billion people continue to rely on wood, coal, charcoal, agric residue, and animal dung to cook their meals and heat their homes. These homes become dangerous places to be simply because the energy sources they use release high levels of pollutants that are harmful to their health. In sub-Saharan Africa, the lack of access to clean cooking remains acute. It is the only region where the number of those without access, unfortunately, continues to rise. The share of those with access increased just from 15% to 17% between 2015 and 2020. However, when you adjust for population growth, it actually pushed up in terms of numbers of people without access by 10%. That's from 850 million to 940 million in 2020 who do not have access to clean cooking. And if these trends continue, it can be estimated that by 2030, sub-Saharan Africa will have the greatest access deficit. This simple act of cooking, that's using unclean fuels and technology, is a leading source of global air pollution, causes more deaths each year than HIV/AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis combined. It is one of the most underfunded and furthest behind indicators in the Sustainable Development Goals, receiving less than 1% of the estimated resources needed to address it. New research from the International Institute of Applied Systems Analysis and the Climate Analytics highlights that we remain far off track in achieving universal access by 2030. The SC4All also estimates that for Ghana, the full transition from wood and charcoal to clean fuels could take about 50 years if things don't change, and only 18% will achieve clean fuel access. This means the business as usual approach has not been as effective as it should be. More needs to be done. Air pollution causes more than 7 million deaths every year, with 1.1 million deaths occurring in Africa. Household air pollution, which is driven largely by indoor cook stoves, accounted for 700,000 fatalities, while increased outdoor air pollution claimed 400,000 lives. In Ghana, the World Bank estimates that 16,000 people die prematurely from air pollution every year. Each number of these millions represents a wife, a mother, a sister, a brother, a breadwinner. These are lives we're talking about. These deaths are unacceptable and avoidable. The State of Global Air Study indicates also that about 236,000 newborn infants are estimated to have died of air pollution-related causes in sub-Saharan Africa. The study by the team of researchers led by the Boston College and UN Environment Program, examining the toll on the developing brains of children, revealed that air pollution exposure to infants and young children resulted in the loss of 1.9 billion IQ points across the continent. This will no doubt have serious consequences on the future of our continent. Africa Renewal estimates that the economic cost of premature deaths from ambient particulate matter pollution in 2013 was $215 billion. The estimated cost of premature deaths from household air pollution was $232 billion. Unfortunately, it is mostly women who bear the brunt of this cost in the form of poor health and safety, as well as lost productivity. In most rural communities, women and children travel long distances to collect fuel in the form of firewood. This is a time-consuming and exhausting task, which offers much less time for other productive activities. In addition to being strenuous, there are many risks involved, including bites from venomous animals and increased risk even of sexual assault. This also limits access to education, which tends to restrict opportunities for economic growth, in addition to the adverse health impact. Women and children are especially affected and burdened by time-intensive household tasks as a result of the usage of unclean cooking fuels. Time poverty, that is the loss of productivity, and poor maternal and child health become the end results. Ricardo Politi, the Global Director of Energy and Extractive Industries and Regional Director for Infrastructure Africa for the World Bank, has asserted that, and I quote, "Clean cooking must be a political, economic, and environmental priority, supported by policies and backed by investments and multi-sector partnerships. To make that kind of change, the level of commitment and the scale of investment matter." End quote. And I couldn't agree more. I'm optimistic that this forum will pave the way for expedited action required to help bring clean cooking to the billions who live without it. Governments and development agencies should continue taking measures to prioritize the issue of clean cooking as a major policy initiative. In our conversations about access, there must be a focus on affordability, innovation, and adaptability of clean cooking solutions in order to ensure sustainable development. Reducing prices via low-cost design, local production and assembly where feasible, and innovative distribution and financing models can lower upfront stove costs and significantly extend access to clean cooking solutions. Pay-as-you-go solutions also bring clean technologies within the financial reach of populations with customized payment options. This module enables incremental fuel payments for households in place of paying full upfront costs, which tends to be a barrier to access and entry. It's also important to integrate and involve women in the design and production of locally appropriate technologies. As majority users, women's contributions are vital to shaping the clean cooking value chain from the design, production, distribution, sale, and consumption of clean cooking technologies. Women are at the heart of clean cooking issues and bear the brunt of its negative effects. There is the need to integrate clean cooking into government programs and policies and encourage the use of sustainable clean cooking solutions. A concerted political will is essential to ensure progress in the clean cooking sector. High-level political will and action is a must, and I'm glad to see strong representation from our government today. Ghana has been slow but steady in growth and in access to clean cooking solutions. About 14% of the population currently cook with clean fuels and technology, and 32% are using improved cook stoves. In addition, Ghana has adopted the ISO standard for clean cook stoves and clean cooking solutions. There have been efforts to set a minimum standard, develop labels, and upgrade testing centers all in an effort to ensure a world-class market development in the clean cooking sector. The Ghanaian government is also promoting the adoption of LPG by 50% as the primary cooking fuel, and I'm sure my Honorable Minister will elaborate on that when he comes up here. And recognizing that it will take some time to build up an LPG network, Ghana aims to distribute about 3 million improved biomass stoves by 2030. Achieving an absolute clean cooking world is possible. Let us make deliberate efforts to increase awareness and advocate for clean cooking alternatives that are essential to the well-being of women and children. This means we cannot give up. As my CEO Dimfina mentioned, we are making gains, but we need to step up our efforts. The world has a huge challenge to move to net zero by 2050, and clean cooking is an essential part of achieving this. Emission reductions have to go hand in hand with efforts to ensure clean energy access for all by 2030. It will take sound public policies, a holistic approach, and long-term commitment from all development actors. Reducing cooking emissions is critical to reducing forest degradation, improving health, empowering women and children, protecting our environment, and helping achieve numerous other SDGs. We will be letting a significant portion of our population down if we pay only lip service to clean energy access in Africa especially. Let us choose to strengthen partnerships to better effectively address the issues of clean cooking solutions. The cost of inaction is too high. Let us act now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana, for your welcome address and your call to action. Before I invite my next speaker, allow me to acknowledge the presence of the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Honorable Herbert Krampa. Also in the building is Executive Secretary of Energy Commission, Engineer Oscar Amonu Niza. We also have our Deputy Energy Minister, Honorable Amin Adam Antha. And last but definitely not the least, in our presence here is also the Deputy Minister of Energy in the person of Honorable Andrew Ejapa Mesa. And speaking about the Ministry of Energy, it's time for us to hear from the man who is at the helm of it all. The Honorable Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh will share a few words with us.
Her Excellency Samira Baumia, Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors of Norway, Netherlands, and the United States of America, Chief Executive Officer of Clean Cooking Alliance, definitely, the Country Director of World Bank, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Chief Executives of various agencies here, representatives of development partners, diplomatic corps, friends from the media, and all protocols observed. It is my sincere pleasure to welcome you all to the open plenary of this year's Global Clean Cooking Forum taking place here in the city of Accra. This is the second time the Global Clean Forum is being hosted in Ghana, a good indication that the country's energy transition efforts and accelerating access to clean cooking have gained recognition globally. This forum allows us to deliberate on key political and technological countermeasures to curb the environmental and socioeconomic threats of our over-reliance and uncontrolled exploitation of natural resources, especially wood biomass, for cooking, whilst increasing access in line with national, regional, and global commitments. Excellencies, as demand for clean cooking solution is growing, we need to turn our attention to the efficient exploitation of the natural resources that are required for the industry. We need effective coordination and transparent accounting systems that are internationally acceptable to unlock the enormous investment and financing opportunities available for clean cooking sector. For this reason, I welcome the establishment of the Delivery Unit Network in Ghana and under the Ministry of Energy. Local capacity is required to support the growth of the clean cooking industry in Ghana. The Ministry of Energy, in collaboration with the Energy Commission, launched the Senior High School Renewable Energy Challenge to provide a platform for all second cycle schools to develop an interest in research and development and innovating renewable energy and clean cooking solutions for the Ghanaian market and beyond. This and other capacity development of the needs of the industry, I want to use this opportunity to thank the Clean Cooking Alliance for committing to sponsor this year's Renewable Energy Schools Challenge, which focuses on clean cooking and food processing. Thank you. I also want to use this opportunity to announce that the Ministry of Energy is developing the National Clean Cooking Strategy and Investment Prospectus with support from the World Bank. This will provide the framework for the promotion and development of the industry. It is my earnest hope that these documents will be completed and launched by the end of the year. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Energy is central to the development of a vibrant and sustainable clean cooking sector in Ghana. The ministry is therefore partnering with leading stakeholders to expand the clean cooking market and scale up access. Government policies and interventions by our partners have positively impacted the clean cooking market today, keeping it on track for investments, scaling up, and commercialization. The sector has gained attention in recent times, attracting key global players due to the leadership of my ministry. In 2019, Cabinet approved the Public-Private Partnership Project to locally produce and distribute 500,000 improved cook stoves, jointly with the Ministry of Energy and the Climate Change Center of South Korea. This Carbon for Stove project is the largest clean cooking intervention in the ECOWAS region and is in line with the government's commitment to distribute 3 million improved cook stoves by 2030. The project will result in about 1 million tons of CO2 savings per year, reducing the supply of trees for charcoal production and contributing to the improvement of the raw carbon footprint of Ghana. Excellencies, we successfully launched the result-based LPG for Development program on September 6, 2022, with funding support from the World Bank. The objective of the program is to provide government interventions that will accelerate the switch from unclean fuels to LPG in a bid to achieve the goal of 50% access by 2030. I welcome the support of other donors and development partners in this regard. Finally, I implore the forum to deliberate on the measures and strategies to address the supply and demand side constraints and unlock sustainable investment for the attainment of our collective commitments in the clean cooking space. I wish you the best of stay in Ghana. Enjoy our warm hospitality. Truly, Ghana is the center of the universe. Good weather, Ghanaian cuisines, better jollof rice than Nigeria, and take advantage of your presence in Ghana to explore our rich cultural heritage. Akwaba to everybody, and thank you all.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Did we just start another Jollof war? But never mind. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to welcome to the stage the chairperson of GACO, Madam Ajua Say.
Thank you very much, Anita. Her Excellency, Madam Samira Baumia, our Second Lady, our beautiful Second Lady, who happens to be a global ambassador for clean cooking. Ghana is proud to have a lot of wonderful people supporting clean cooking in Ghana, and we are happy for her support. In fact, my work has been made so easy for me this morning because my global CEO, Dimfna, has talked a lot about clean cooking. Her Excellency has also talked much about clean cooking, and my minister has also touched much on what Ghana is doing. So I would just love to welcome you all to Ghana, Akwaba to you all. Ghana is pleased to host yet another clean cooking forum. It seems like just yesterday when we held one in 2015. A lot has happened within the ecosystem since then. That you have come to Ghana again is not a surprise. Clearly, we must be doing something right. Ghana has shown so much commitment, leadership, and thank you. Right. Ghana has shown so much commitment and leadership in deploying cleaner technology to our country, every corner of our country. Our government has also showed increasing commitment to the agenda of clean cooking in Ghana. And we believe at the Alliance that as you are here today, as you interact with us, as you engage with us throughout this forum, all the beautiful work and the impact we are making will be played, fully played, and you will feel the impact that we have made in Ghana. We've had a lot of talks about increasing access in Ghana, and I am a storyteller, so I would love to touch on the kerosene story. Growing up, we could find kerosene in every corner of the country, even though it wasn't a very good choice. That was what we knew, and we used kerosene everywhere. It was readily available, it was highly accessible, and everyone could lay hold on them. Why can't we go back and revisit the processes that we used to get kerosene to every corner of the country? I believe that as we meet here this week, as we deliberate in our various sessions, if we can think through the processes that we went through to get kerosene out there, I'm sure that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can get clean cooking technologies to every corner of this country and of Africa. But the biggest question is, where do we start looking? And that is not a question for me to answer. It's a question for everybody in this room to speak about, to discuss, and come up with solutions. The Alliance believes that through this forum, we may be able to unlock some of the answers to this age-old question. Where do we start, and how do we get everyone access to cleaner stores? Once again, I welcome you all to Ghana. I encourage you to enjoy the landscapes, the rich culture of the people, and our beautiful cuisine. And Anita, did I say, the Second World War on jollof rice started right here. Thank you.
Whoa, Ajwa. I dare say that the jollof cooked by some of the clean stoves over there is the best jollof you will taste, and the healthiest jollof you will taste. So please do also pass by the expo and take a look at what our wonderful innovators are up to. And now, ladies and gentlemen, some perspectives from our funders, starting with Her Excellency Ingrid Mollestad, Norwegian Ambassador to the Republic of Ghana. Please do welcome her.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency Samira Bawumia, Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Honorable Minister of Energy, Dr. Prempa, Deputy Ministers, Presidential Advisors, Executives of the Clean Cooking Alliance, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. First, I would like to thank you for inviting me to this important event, which I am sure will raise further awareness about the powerful impact that clean cooking policies and clean cooking technologies will have on people's lives and well-being. I would also like to address a special thanks to Ghana for organizing this event, I understand, for the second time. When countries like Norway present their development policies, international development policies, we tend to follow or to mention the following aspects: economic development and poverty reduction, climate change, improved global health, food security, and gender equality, all part of the Sustainable Development Goals. Clean cooking solutions impacts each and every one of these priorities simultaneously, but still, it's too rarely mentioned as part of the solution. This needs to change, and it is changing because we want it to change, and I'm happy about the strides that have been made. I would like to make a quick dive into the health benefits of clean cooking, as Ghana and Norway in particular have developed a close partnership in this sector. Earlier this year, Ghana's President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the Norwegian Prime Minister, Mr. Jonas Støre, and the WHO co-hosted the maiden edition of the International Strategic Dialogue on Non-Communicable Diseases. During this conference, heart disease, stroke, cancers, and chronic lung diseases were all highlighted as some of the most significant challenges in global health today, all sadly among top causes of death. We immediately see the relationships to clean cooking here, because breathing the smoke produced from unclean cooking from polluting fuels can lead to all of these. Day after day, billions of people, and mostly women, cook their food, and they and their children breathe in toxic flames produced by cooking with inefficient stoves and harmful fuels. In fact, millions of people continue to die prematurely, paradoxically and tragically, because they expose themselves to life danger while they prepare food for themselves and their families to keep themselves alive. We need a rapid action to scale up clean cooking to ensure healthy lives for all, and to reach, as I said, Sustainable Development Goals overall. On this background, I am very proud that Norway has supported the Clean Cooking Alliance since its inception, and that Norway is now one of CCA's largest donors. For Norway, Clean Cooking Alliance remains a highly and truly relevant and strategic partner. We are proudly supporting Spark Plus Africa, the world's first impact fund to finance clean and modern cooking solutions across sub-Saharan Africa, initiated by the Clean Cooking Alliance, enabling capital and stitching modern cooking. In 2022, I believe that the fund raised over $40 million in a first close. Based on this success, sparking and motivating us to further action, I wish you the very best in accelerating the market-driven adaptation of clean cooking solutions and fuels in Africa and elsewhere during the coming days. We will make change. So have a lovely and productive conference, and thank you for inviting me.
Very much, Your Excellency Ingrid Mollestad. And as she takes her seat, I would like to welcome onto the stage the United States Ambassador to the Republic of Ghana, Her Excellency Virginia A. Palmer. Do please welcome her.
Good morning, everyone. Your Excellency, Second Lady of Ghana, Samira Bawumia, the Honorable Minister of Energy, Prempeh, CEO Dimpa van der Lens, ambassadors, including Ambassador Adejima and Ghana's own Ambassador Rocky. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it really is an honor to be here with you today to shine a spotlight on the importance of clean cooking and to underscore the United States government's approach to improving human health and reducing emissions globally from home cooking. While we're enjoying Ghana's hospitality and even the sea breeze here, I think it's important to remember that people here face dual threats of air pollution and deforestation, as many of you do in your home countries. Soot from cooking fires, smoke from burning trash and plastic, car and truck exhaust, and even the increasingly frequent and severe harmattan emerging from an expanding Sahara Desert affect us all. Research shows that 75% of Ghanaians rely on charcoal as well, putting pressures on an ecosystem already stressed by the effects of climate change and illegal mining. In September 2021, a World Bank environmental analysis concluded that 16,000 Ghanaians die prematurely from air pollution every year, and that 100% of people in Ghana are exposed to harmful levels of particulate matter. And the Second Lady spoke about this. So it's clear that there are both health and climate equity imperatives for ensuring that there is universal access to clean cooking by 2030. And I salute the work that all of you are doing. And consider, too, the loss of productive opportunities for women and girls. And this is something I know the Second Lady is passionate about. In some countries, women and girls spend a quarter of their time looking for fuel. Imagine girls studying free from that burden. And even in more developed countries, Russia's invasion of Ukraine and associated fuel price hikes have driven people to return to firewood or charcoal for cooking and heating. In Ghana, unsustainable use of wood fuel causes deforestation, land degradation, and increasing desertification in Ghana's arid northern regions. To help increase access to clean cooking, the U.S. government has developed a whole-of-government approach and recommitted to the multilateral cooperation necessary to address this global challenge. We were briefly absent, but now we're back. In 2021, the U.S. government resumed and strengthened its engagement with and commitment to the UN Foundation's Clean Cooking Alliance. We've been working closely with the Clean Cooking Alliance and partners throughout the world to reduce emissions from home cooking and heating that contribute to climate change and directly affect health and livelihoods of almost 40% of the world's population. We're conducting and facilitating research and testing of more efficient stoves and fuels. Working both in the Household Energy Lab and in the field, we're building the capacity of regional stove testing and knowledge centers around the world. And we're now piloting a Science to Policy Academy in East Africa initially to support development and implementation of clean cooking policy goals with the best available science. The U.S. government is also supporting early-stage entrepreneurs and businesses seeking to promote clean cooking. And this has impacts for the environment, but also for job creation and tax revenue generation in countries where this is happening. And as further evidence of our commitment to clean cooking in Africa, today I'm pleased to announce that USAID just awarded $2.1 million to Burn Manufacturing's expansion to West Africa to accelerate large-scale outreach and positive impact of their stoves project. Thank you. Burn has already produced over 1 million stoves in their Kenyan facility and made a significant positive impact on millions of people. And we expect their transition to West Africa to bring even greater impact. All of these efforts advance one of the major objectives of our new U.S.-Africa strategy to support a just energy transition and the tools and capabilities to arrest and adapt to our changing climate. And it comes at an interesting and important time for the United States. We just passed something called the Inflation Reduction Act, which doesn't, by its title, tell you much, but it is one of the most significant contributions to climate funding that the United States and, frankly, the world have ever had. And I'm very pleased that we're really back in this field where we belong. And so please be assured of the United States' continued support for your vital work. And I wish you a productive and energizing sessions here in Ghana and continued success as you return home. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency Virginia Palmer, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, today we do have a hybrid formula or format going on. So please do look at your screens for our next message coming from the director at the European Commission's Directorate General for International Partnerships, and it is Carla Montesi, joining us via video.
Clean Cooking Alliance and its partner for organizing it. The negative effects of inefficient cooking are well known by all of you, and this is why we have to promote the use of cleaner cooking solutions. Unfortunately, the current international context, aggravated by the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the energy crisis that has translated in the rise of energy prices, risk to render the solution identified less affordable for a large part of the consumers. Despite this additional challenge, there is an urgent need to continue to upscale our effort towards the SDG 7 targets. To reach this goal, the sector needs more innovation, attractive financing solutions, political mobilization, and the general awareness. Youth participation, regular framework, and an enabling environment are also key elements to ensure a shift towards cleaner and more sustainable solutions. I can say that the European Union, together with its partners, is fully committed to work in all these domains. Through the Global Gateway, the European Union supports the green transformation And in the African European Union Green Energy Initiative, that is one of the key components of the Global Gateway, will seek to enhance energy access, to boost renewable energy deployment and efficiency, including for clean cooking. And in this sector, as for today, the European Union is financing programs in more than 15 countries, including here in Ghana. Just to mention one example, the European Union is supporting the Senior High School Renewable Energy Challenge, focusing this year on clean cooking. Both public and the private actors are key to ensure that all our efforts are impactful and efficient. And this is why the European Union is also supporting local entrepreneurship and the private investment through different programs. One example is the Spark Plus Africa Fund, which is the first fund fully dedicated to support the private sector clean cooking projects. One other important example is the Sea Clean Cooking Program that the European Union co-finances with the Netherlands and Denmark, that will be further presented during this forum, and you will have the time to discover. To conclude, let me say that we have all an important role to play to accelerate the path to reach SDG 7 target for clean cooking. Let's continue to work together. I wish all of you a successful forum.
Tessie. And now, finishing off our round of perspectives from our funders is the Deputy Head of Mission, Netherlands Embassy in Ghana, in the person of Her Excellency Katia Lasser.
Good morning, everyone. Wow, this is an impressive audience. Thank you very much. It's an honor for me to speak at this important forum and to represent the Netherlands government at this forum. I will stand on previous protocols, as we say here in Ghana, but I'd like to especially thank the Second Lady of Ghana for her presence here. This forum could not come at a more timely moment. Energy and food prices are soaring, and the alarming impacts of climate change are becoming more and more visible. The importance of access to clean energy and clean cooking is urgently clear. I will not go into the statistics because they have already been eloquently expressed by the previous speakers. I would just like to say that the Netherlands is a firm supporter of clean cooking. At last year's UN High-Level Dialogue on Energy, we committed to be a global champion for energy access. In this role, together with the governments of Kenya and Malawi, we ask specific attention for clean cooking as a sector where progress needs to be drastically accelerated and brought to scale. We all know more action is needed. In our new foreign trade and development policy, we have therefore doubled our energy access ambition. We are committed to providing access to clean cooking and electricity based on renewable energy to 100 million people by 2030. Clean cooking and clean fuels are a specific priority in our energy access work because we recognize that cooking is the most fundamental energy need that people have. Everybody cooks. Myself, as a single parent of 3 children, I know how much time I spend in the kitchen, and I'm lucky because I have a nicely equipped kitchen where I can do clean cooking, but most women in the world do not have that luxury. To make sure no one is left behind on the road to universal energy access, addressing the affordability gap is key. That is why we are taking the lead with a pilot through Energizing Development Partnership for demand-side subsidies for clean cooking and off-grid solar to facilitate access to energy for low-income and displaced populations who remain out of reach of commercial markets. For the Netherlands, partnerships are at the heart of our work on clean cooking. Back in 2005, we founded the Energy Access Partnership energizing development together with our German friends. This partnership has since grown and has already provided more than 25 million people with access to renewable energy, including 19 million with access to clean cooking. A recent example of our partnership approach, which was also referred to by our European Commission partner Carla Montesi just now, is this SEECC program, or Strengthening the Entrepreneurial Ecosystem for Clean Cooking, which aims to provide access to durable clean cooking solutions to 850,000 people. The program is supported by the European Commission, Denmark, and the Netherlands. Only when we work together can we realize our common goal of universal energy access by 2030. I would like to also mention the youth. Are there youth representatives here? Can you make some noise for yourself? Clean cooking is a youth issue as well. When we talk about clean cooking, we talk about the future, a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable future for the next generations. 90% of the world's youth live in countries with the lowest access to clean cooking. Household air pollution caused by polluting cooking fuels and stoves disproportionately affect young children, causing many deaths. For youth, lack of access to energy means fewer opportunity for education and employment. That is why we applaud the participation of young people in improving access to clean cooking. We need to listen to them and amplify their voices and ideas in clean cooking enterprises, policy making, and politics. So let me close here, because I believe everyone is very eager to start the work of this forum and to start networking. Just by saying that clean cooking is a vital part of the solution to many of the challenges we are facing today. By improving access to clean cooking, we are working together on a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable future. The urgency has never been higher, and I wish you all a very productive forum. Thank you very much.
So much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, some messages from our partners. Do allow me to start off via video the Practice Manager, World Bank ESMAP, in the person of Gabriela Elizondo Azuela.
Honorable speakers, co-hosts, and partner institutions, I deeply appreciate the opportunity to address you at this flagship event. We are here today because 2.4 billion people are living in cooking poverty, meaning they still rely on polluting traditional fuels and technologies to cook their meals. The annual cost for human health, women's productivity, and the climate and environment is staggering at $2.4 trillion. With less than a decade to deliver universal access to clean cooking solutions, we must take ambitious, bold, and deliberate action to tackle the challenge. Otherwise, an estimated 2.1 billion people will remain in cooking poverty in 2030. Scaling up access requires both market-based and investment-driven solutions that improve the overall cooking ecosystem, with end users' needs and priorities at the center. Urgent action is needed in three interlinked areas: political commitment, investment, and knowledge and innovation. This forum provides a unique platform for sharing best practice and new ideas in all three areas. At the World Bank, we have made clean cooking a corporate priority. In our Energy Compact presented to the UN High-Level Dialogue, we aim to help client countries provide 100 million people with access to clean cooking. Over the past 5 years, the bank's support to clean cooking has totaled nearly $240 million across 29 countries, mainly in Africa and Asia. To further galvanize political commitment and investment, the bank established the Clean Cooking Fund through the Energy Sector Management Assistance Program, ESMAP, in 2019. With a funding target of $500 million, the aim is to leverage $2 billion in public and private investments to help 200 million people gain access to clean cooking. The Clean Cooking Fund's current investment portfolio in Rwanda, Niger, Mozambique, Uganda, and Chad has leveraged $41.5 million in IDA financing, $10.8 million in carbon finance and $65 million in private finance to help more than 9.2 million people and 750 schools gain access to clean cooking. As we begin the Clean Cooking Forum, let's encourage all stakeholders to redouble their commitments and investments in this critical agenda. Working together at all levels, local, national, and international, we can unlock the transition to clean cooking for all. Uplifting the world's vulnerable populations from cooking poverty is not only possible, it is imperative for healthier families, women's empowerment, and cleaner environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gabriela.
Co-hosts and partner institutions.
The IDE Energy Lead, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific of the United Nations Capital Development Fund is Vincent Guerda, and he's here to share a few words. Please welcome him.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Madame Bamumia, Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Honorable Minister, Excellencies, colleagues, and partners. Representing the United Nations Capital Development Fund, the UN's flagship catalytic finance entity for frontier markets of today and growth markets of tomorrow, it's a real privilege for me to address you all at this year's Clean Cooking Forum. I would like to acknowledge and thank in particular the government of Ghana, which has been a strong partner of UNCDF in the areas of youth economic empowerment, financial inclusion, and climate adaptation. We look forward to continuing our partnership to demonstrate an effective model of UN member state collaboration around sustainable development. I would also like to acknowledge the Clean Cooking Alliance under the leadership of Dymphia van der Lans. The CCA has been at the forefront of advancing clean cooking solutions in support of better public health, stronger economic resilience, and the conservation of our planet. The world is better for your efforts, and we thank you for them. Much of the global conversation around climate, biodiversity, and nature assets centers around the warnings that all of us must heed, individuals, communities, governments, and the private sector. But I would also hope that this year's Clean Cooking Forum demonstrates the tremendous opportunity that exists on the other side of these warnings. The impact and business case for dramatically increased investment in clean cooking is undeniable. In the run-up to COP27 and so many other events now taking place, we know the time for action is now. As far as UNCDF is concerned, we've been putting action behind our words and will continue to do so. This is why I am excited to announce that UNCDF and the Clean Cooking Alliance are launching a strategic global partnership here in Accra to accelerate finance for clean energy transition. Through our partnership, the CCA and UNCDF will aim to increase the flow of public finance as well as newer forms of climate and social impact finance into companies operating in clean cooking markets. As a first concrete step, we are jointly initiating a digital innovations challenge for clean cooking that we look forward to discussing with many of you over the next few days. And I have to show you this little leaflet here, which will be available at our booth for discussion, and we look very much forward to your views and recommendations. Between the CCA's leadership role and unsurpassed network in the sector, also working on innovative finance solutions, as well as UNCDF's history of catalyzing investment to finance decentralized energy value chain work in frontier markets and LDCs, I believe that our partnership will truly optimize our unique respective capabilities towards this critical effort. Perhaps most importantly, my hope is that both UNCDF and CCA can spark a demonstration effect that will see clean cooking finance go from the millions to the billions needed to arrive at the success that we seek. The opportunity is here. CCA and UNCDF are committed to seizing it, and we look forward to working with you all in the process. Thank you and congratulations on this year's forum.
Thank you so much, Vincent. And now going to our screens again from the Rockefeller Foundation, we have the Senior Vice President, Power and Climate, and it's Ashvin Dayal. Take a look.
Hello, everyone. Let me start by saying a big thank you to the team at the Clean Cooking Alliance for bringing together such an important mix of policymakers, entrepreneurs, investors, donors, and other development partners for this, the 2022 Clean Cooking Forum. A thank you as well to the government of Ghana for being such welcoming hosts. The reality we face today is that our climate and our development future is going to depend on our ability to invest in clean energy solutions that expand economic opportunity and protect communities as they go through what could be a multi-generational transition from fossil fuels to clean power. Now, I say this knowing that we must confront the urgent reality of today. We know the statistics. 700 million people lack access to electricity. Another 2.5 billion are considered energy poor. And 2.5 billion don't have access to clean cooking solutions. That's estimated to cause almost $2.5 trillion in damage to the climate and local economies and contribute to a staggering 3.2 million premature deaths every year. Clean cooking transforms lives. It improves health, it protects the environment, it empowers women, and it drives inclusive economic development. This is why this convening is so vital as we work collectively to pave the way for much needed action. Now, progress is being made, of course, but we all know it remains off track for a combination of population growth, lack of financing, fragmentation across the energy access ecosystem, and frankly, a continuing lack of political will. And in Africa, the numbers are going in the wrong direction, with the access gap in sub-Saharan Africa nearly doubling since 1990 to reach close to 1 billion people. At the Rockefeller Foundation and in partnership with the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet, we're working closely with governments to accelerate inclusive energy transitions that will alter the trajectory of the climate crisis and boost economic progress for everyone. So our focus has been on electricity, but as I was discussing with the Clean Cooking Alliance team just the other day, individuals and households don't compartmentalize their energy needs, and neither should we. As a global community, we must galvanize our collective efforts to achieve affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. We need an approach that's holistic, that embraces clean cooking, clean energy for homes, and an ever-increasing array of solutions that help drive economic activity in agriculture, services, and manufacturing. This is why we are fully committed to the success of this forum and to working together with the Clean Cooking Alliance to build stronger ecosystems and to jointly advocate for an end to energy poverty in all its forms. I wish I was joining you all in person in Accra to be able to participate in the rich discussions that will take place over the next few days. And I look forward to strengthening our efforts to deliver progress on the ground together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, too. And finally, in our category of perspectives from our partners, please welcome, also via video, Dr. Fatih Birol, the Executive Director of the International Energy Agency.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to open this year's Clean Cooking Forum together with this great panel of speakers, including great leaders as Dymphia van der Lans and my friend Kande Yumkela. Thanks to the Clean Cooking Alliance for its important work and long-standing cooperation with the International Energy Agency. Dear colleagues, we are in the middle of the first global energy crisis, and this crisis is undermining global progress toward the SDG 7, universal access to affordable, sustainable energy. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has pushed up energy prices around the world. It is hurting households, industries, and entire economies. Most severely in the developing world where people can least afford it. We are already seeing its effects on clean cooking. According to the numbers of the International Energy Agency, today 2.4 billion people still cook with polluting cooking technologies, 1 in every 3 persons on the earth. This is linked to around 3.6 million premature deaths each year, a number higher than the deaths caused by tuberculosis, malaria, and HIV combined, a staggering number. Women in households without access spend 40 hours a week on average gathering fuel and cooking, restricting their ability to pursue education and employment. When we talk about the gender issues, I think this is something that we all need to take note of. Even knowing the full profound cost of the status quo, clean cooking still has not yet found the lasting place it deserves on the global political agenda. But the technology exists to solve this issue. LPG has been a leading option in China, India, and Indonesia, frontrunners on progress towards universal access to clean cooking. However, LPG is not the only option. Electrical stoves, biogas stoves, ethanol, or even improved biomass are all part of the solution. So, the political will has to step up, and step up immediately. Only half of those without clean cooking access live in countries where there are targets to reach universal access. I believe this is a major issue. At the IEA, we estimated achieving universal clean cooking access worldwide would cost less than $6 billion annually from now to 2030. And this is $6 billion is only 1/4 of building a new LNG terminal in one single country. This is well within the means of international community to mobilize the $6 billion. We have an obligation to make clean cooking a top priority for development banks and the COP27 agenda. And I believe this is a big opportunity for the advanced economies to show their willingness to support the developing world in the direction of clean and secure energy transition. Dear colleagues, today's crisis can and should be a turning point in the global effort to meet this basic energy need for each and every person. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of the first part of our opening plenary. We're moving into the second part, which is a panel discussion focusing on clean cooking as the key to achieving global climate and development goals. And on this panel, do allow me to invite to the stage the Honorable Damilola Ogunbiyi, CEO and Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary General for Sustainable Energy for All and co-chair of UN Energy, Dr. Kande Yamkela, former United Nations Undersecretary and Special Representative of the Secretary General for Sustainable Energy for All, and former 2-term Director General of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO. We're also joined by Dr. Leela Haze, Executive Director and co-founder, Lion Guardians and co-founder and Leadership Council, WE Africa. Of course, as you can see, the CEO of Clean Cooking Alliance is also here, Dimna van der Laan, and this conversation will be ably moderated by the extraordinary Shirley McAlpine, founder Shirley McAlpine and Associates. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome them as they take their seats. Shirley, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Can everyone hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? The other mic. So, thank you so much. Shirley. 1, 2. Oh, hello. Okay, great. Thank you. Here we go. So we're going to kick off with you, Damilola, if you don't mind. Is that okay? So given, we've heard so much about the statistics and where we are, and given where we are and the need to focus on both economic development and energy, let's start with what do you think is your vision for Africa's sustainable development? And how important is it to prioritize clean cooking?
I think firstly what we need to recognize that Africa's sustainable development needs to be developed by Africans. No offense or anything, but there are a lot of people around the world telling Africans what to do, not understanding that there's a rich culture and people understand what to do. What has happened for many years is that Africa is the victim of climate change, and if you see in a lot of national budgets, Africans and African nations are the ones giving the most to adaptations and mitigations just by the focus that they put in. So I think the first key is understanding that Africans know what to do within their communities, what they need is support in terms of financing, technical assistance, and then support in terms of some of the aid support as well. In terms of clean cooking is everything. If we really talk about COPs and a climate agenda, then clean cooking is at the heart of that. What has been happening for a number of years, because I'm more on the energy access electrification side, is clean cooking has been seen as like almost a stepchild to electrification instead of the other way around. Instead of understanding, if we talk about, gender imbalance, especially a lot to do with gender-based violence as well, it really stems from clean cooking in terms of empowering the youth, in terms of economic development. We really need to take this seriously. So the amounts of money that's been committed are great, but it's just not enough if we are to take this seriously. And I think what DIFNA is trying to do, and the reason why I'm here, and Kande, my predecessor and mentor, is to explain to everybody that it's not a, how can I put it, having clean cooking is not a nice to have. It's a difference between life and death. And why wouldn't you want to be part of something that saves somebody's life? And I think that's what we have to explain to the global community and say that please take this seriously, because it's not taken seriously, unfortunately.
So when we look at when you talk about the way that people are working together or lack thereof, how do you start to create a more integrated energy plan?
I mean, one of the things that we've been focusing on is what does a just energy transition really look like, right? So how do we make sure that the priorities of the African continent and the priorities of climate are put together? And when I mean priorities, like in my country, Nigeria, one of the priorities was uplifting 100 million people out of energy poverty first. Understanding, Africans also want to industrialize, and they also want to make sure that their population has access to clean cooking, and to do that in a climate-friendly way. But that's not very hard for Africa, because with all the statistics, Africa is responsible for barely 3% of global emissions right now. And DIFNA was in Kigali, where somebody said, can we transition to energy first? Of which we laugh, but that's a really important point. We don't have enough energy. Sub-Saharan Africa, if you take away South Africa, barely has 81 gigawatts of energy, right? So just being born Black African, like I was, you are 23 times of disadvantage of any other human being on earth. And this is not even talking to people who don't have energy. So again, it's like, okay, are we serious about this or are we not? And that is why energy transition plans, of which, the Ghanaian government is also leading on, and, hopefully there'll be some great things coming up in COP, are very important. But when they put this forward to the global community, there also has to be that response, because we know there's always money out there when people need money, right? Because people say there's not enough money, but money seems to appear when other countries need money. The same thing has to happen for the African continent.
Yeah. Can we come to you, Dr. Leela? Is that okay? Because when we look at lots of the focus is often on the policy, but less focus on the people and the impact on communities, and that's something that seems to be coming through in what Damilola's been sharing. Would you like to kind of come to that question? Yeah. You lean in. Take mine.
Okay, there we go. I would love to add to what Damilola said, especially around inclusion, because it's all about inclusion. And a lot of my colleagues and friends say that I have an inclusion disorder, and I'm very happy to accept that. And I think that when we think about the issues around inclusion, it starts that there's just been such little co-development in the solution space. So oftentimes externally solutions are created, but they don't bring them into the community. They're created externally and then they bring them in, but there's no trust. Trust doesn't happen unless it's from people from that community. So we need to engage local leaders. We need to engage people on the ground that have influence, because otherwise it doesn't work. It's not accepted and it's not sustained either. We also get a much higher return on investment when we start working with people who are from those areas. And that's from the design phase through the implementation phase. It's not just one of the phases, it has to be throughout. And I want to give an example of an organization that I've been working with called Lion Guardians. So about 20 years ago in southern Kenya, this is an area with acute lion killing. It was probably the worst area on the continent for lion killing. But we co-developed a solution that's culturally appropriate, that has been led and sustained by the community. So now there are 7 times the number of lions that there were when we first started. It is the fastest growing lion population on the continent now, outside of a protected area, because it was developed, led, and owned by the community. That's what happens. The return on investment's much higher. So I think this gets into like balancing the power dynamics, right? As we start thinking about power and increasing inclusion, token participation doesn't matter. It doesn't work. We should know that by now. We need to really think about, like in the clean cooking space, 30% of participation is women, but we need the cooks. We need the cooks to be part of these conversations, and they are the women that are in these areas. And so is it as simple as changing bylaws? Can we say that 60% of women participation has to be the quorum, but from indigenous communities, from local communities? Is it as simple as that? So when we think about all of this, it brings a certain level of discomfort, because we're dismantling the patriarchy, we're dismantling the systems, right, that have held us back, that have limited inclusion. And I feel like that's where the space is. It's in the space of discomfort where there is real meaningful change, but we tend to run away from that space. And so I think we have an opportunity to use our privilege to shift power to those that are most affected by climate right now. And that does take a huge amount of courage. But because business as usual right now, it's not working. It's not working for nature, and it's not working for humanity.
So what do we actually need? Sorry, let me come back, yeah. So given that, what do we actually need to be doing to build the connection with the communities, to start to build the inclusion, to shift the powers, as you say?
So I think what we need to be doing is we need to be connecting back to nature, right? Like we need to be connecting back to nature, because people don't protect nature unless they're connected to it. And we know that. And so I think, and it comes down to values, because every culture is connected to nature in some way, whether it's utilitarian, whether it's spiritual, there is a deep connection that's there. And so the way that we can link values to solutions, that's what sustainability is. That's what sustains that. And so I think that's what's missing from the arena. You know, and I'm thinking about integration as well. I think we need to do more around integration. So when I think of clean cooking, I think of solutions. People keep talking about solutions, right? But it's also about hygiene and nutrition. We can't leave those parts out, because when people are unwell, when they are sick, they can't connect, because it's a life or death at that moment, right? And so I think that we do need to be much more integrated about the process, and that's part of the inclusion piece. I think also when we think about nature and we think of the connection to nature, we often think that all of humanity is disconnected from nature, because that's what we say, but it's not true, because the indigenous communities, the local communities are so well connected to nature. And I can say from living in southern Kenya in Maasai land, in the areas where I've been working, it's a life or death situation when it comes to their connection to nature. In the last 2 months, I have watched elders, children die because of the most horrific drought that we are experiencing right now. So their link to nature is an everyday affair. And so it's not something we're feeling from other places, it's an everyday affair. And when we think of indigenous communities particularly, 80% of all of the biodiversity left on our planet is held by 5% of the population. They know how to take care of nature. They know how to protect it. It is up to us to shift our power to allow their voices in those spaces. And it's also an opportunity for us to listen. We need to sit back and listen and not come with our big degrees to all the tables, because the solutions will come from the communities that have been keeping the 80% alive, not from the 95% that have been in other spaces. And once we recognize that, things will start to change. And I think that does take a certain amount of discomfort, and it takes a lot of courage.
Thank you. Dr. Kende, can I come to you? Because one of the, I want to speak to the current fuel and food crisis that we have. What's the impact of that on sustainable development agendas and specifically on SDG 7?
We should recognize that we also had a food, fuel, and financial crisis in 2007, 2008. Now we have a similar impact on the world. The impact is very serious. In my country, for example, immediately early this year, we had a 100% increase in petrol prices at the pump. Just think about the knock-on effects on purchasing power at household level, transportation costs, and so on. Food price inflation in a number of African countries is between 20 to 30%. I was just in New York, and when I hear people complaining about 8% inflation, I say, come to my neighborhood. But it's not only the smaller African countries, even Nigeria, Ghana here, Rwanda, and others, all suffering from food price inflation. I guess it helps all of us understand what we have advocated for 20 years, that energy is at the core of the 21st century economic transformation, development, and climate change. So many of us 20 years ago started fighting for a sustainable development goal number 7 on energy. I think people are understanding now the nexus between energy, economic growth, health, education, gender, environment, as the Norwegian ambassador explained very well. So if we relate it to what we're discussing here, clean cooking itself connects all of this. Yeah? It's about climate, deforestation, it's about health, not only women's health. In fact, household air pollution is one of the top 5 causes of morbidity in Africa today. But also think about agribusiness. All the actions we take in adding value to agricultural products require an energy solution. Processing, storage, transportation, cold chain, all of that requires an energy solution. In our own neighborhood in West Africa, our women, all the processing, they use firewood or charcoal to bring that food to the market, not only for cooking at home. So you begin to see why this conference is important in terms of economic development, women's empowerment, protecting the environment, and so on. I always applaud the Ghanaians. I'm jealous of Ghana. 87% electrification. Congratulations, Mr. Minister. Very soon, Ghana will hit 100% universal access to electricity. Best performer in all of West Africa. However, as you heard from the statistics, 75% of this population still relies on charcoal and firewood. But again, we commend Ghana. The leadership is clear, electrification, moving well. Now they say we take clean cooking as well. They have to be treated the same. It is not an afterthought, as Damilola has said, that has affected us for many years.
see, given the success, if you speak to the success there in electrification, has required government's leadership as well as the private sector, but oftentimes they're not always, there's a disconnect between the private sector and the governments working together. So why do you think that is, and how do we get to a more systemic approach in the work that needs to happen?
Well, everywhere in the world, energy policy is sensitive, it is complex, it is difficult, because it touches on everything else. So the interest groups are many, whether in the United States, Germany, or for us in Africa. So governments have to create the markets. Government leadership in creating markets is important. When we used to advocate for renewable energy, we used to say that thanks to European energy policy for renewables, countries like China and others produced a lot of solar technologies that were exported to Europe, you know, for the solar panels and so on. So you begin to see how interlinked we all are. When governments create these market opportunities, the private sector responds. But remember, even in Germany or United States or EU, governments had to provide incentives, feed-in tariffs, other forms of industrial interventions. The American ambassador mentioned IRA. We're all so happy about American leadership coming back in. So you need government for the right regulations, for the incentives you need, and we come back to clean cooking. We don't see the same for clean cooking. We've seen it for solar power, we've seen it for wind, we've seen feed-in tariffs, we've seen investments in supporting research and development. We don't see the same enthusiasm for clean cooking. It is still treated like an orphan issue. So you need government and private sector to collaborate, but you need governments to take the lead, to build these markets. Because of all the sensitivity, but also the institutional arrangements you need, the negotiations you need to get the private sector confident to move in. One last point I want to make. A major bank in the world, the CEO once said in one of our forums, we need TLC in public policy, not tender loving care. Transparency, longevity, and credibility of public policy. Private sector needs to know that the energy policy is predictable for the next 20, 30 years, because these are long-term investments. That's why the longevity is important. But they also need to know that when governments change, the policy will not change. I'm in Parliament now. Quickly, politicians say energy is too expensive, lower the price. But the investor already built their plan on the existing regulations you have for the next 20 years. But politicians, typically, we want quick wins, and populist policies, we want to lower those tariffs quickly. But you already committed with the private sector. So that longevity and credibility of public policy and regulations is very important going forward to get more crowding in of private investments.
And there's clearly lots of great incremental work being done in the private sector. But how do we get to a place where we're expanding that work and it's much more systemic?
We need scale. 8 years to go before 2030. I'm sure Damilola, all of us, we used to talk about 2030 as if it's another 15, 20 years away. It's 8 years. We're not close to where we want to be. Africa in particular, still 600 million without electricity. 920 million, you heard the numbers, without access to clean cooking. We need scale. We have to go beyond just the incremental pilot projects. I say to donors, Africa is always the experimental ground. Some new paradigm comes, we get 2 million to test it in Africa. No, we need to talk large numbers now. Fatih Birol said, you need 6 billion a year to fix universal access to clean cooking. He says it's 1/4 the cost of setting up an LNG plant. We need investments in the energy space in the billions of dollars, but in the clean cooking space right now you're looking at 120 million to 200 million a year coming in. You need 6 billion per year. We're talking big scale now. That's why again you need a public-private partnership. Ghana is not asking for another $20 million pilot project. Ghana is looking in the $1 billion range because they've done everything right. You can see the same in Kenya. The public policies are there. The private sector is ready to move. You need the government leadership, but I tell you, we need scale now, not pilot projects.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to take, yeah.
Can I talk about scale?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to quickly jump in about scale because I think scaling is such an important conversation, and then I'll pass over to you. But I think scaling, it's all about collaboration and partnership, right? It's not about building something small and exploding it to something massive, right? It's because we don't live in a homogeneous environment. There are so many different contexts that we're dealing with. And so scaling it's about sustaining impact, but it's not about multiplying. And I think we need to get away from that. And I do think we need huge investments. I think we need to stop thinking small numbers and we need to start thinking bigger numbers. And that also is about inclusion. And it's cross-sectorally, it's intergenerationally. We need everyone at that table. And oftentimes when we think around inclusion, it's one or two groups that we include, but we actually need everyone to be able to scale. And I think also we talk about the biodiversity crisis and the climate crisis all the time, but we're also dealing with this leadership crisis right now. We don't have time. Okay, I will talk about the leadership crisis later, and I will pass it on because I think it is something very important, because I think at the heart of scaling is going to come down to changing how leadership is done. But I'll pass on.
Okay, just to put this in perspective, G7 found $17 trillion of less than 1% money to get through COVID. They can find $6 billion a year to make sure 900 million are out of energy poverty. That's all.
Yeah, I think I'll just wrap it up. I know we're under time, so I think we're just going to thank all of you for being here, for joining us today, and for your tremendous leadership, your dedication, your energy, and your ability to speak the truth and be honest and have conversations. And I think that's really what we're trying to do at this forum this time, to bring in different voices, to listen to them respectfully, and to really collectively engage in what is a big challenge, but it can be addressed. There is no doubt in my mind we can do this. And so thank you again, and Shirley, for being here and for joining us and for your contribution to this conversation. Thank you.
Please, a round of applause for this very engagement conversation. Wish there was a little bit more time, but I think that Shirley did exactly what we needed her to do. And thank you very much to the panelists as well. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to wrap up this session, please allow me to bring to the stage the Honorable Ambassador Dr. Mokoa Blay Edu Jemfi, who's a presidential advisor. And today, she is reading the speech on behalf of the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Her Excellency Rebecca Akufo-Addo.
Your Excellency, the Second Lady, Mrs. Samira Bawumia, Honorable Ministers, CEO of Clean Cooking Alliance, Daphne van der Lans, I hope you wouldn't mind me. You did that to me. Your Excellencies, representatives from founders, representatives from partners, business executives and investors, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm here this morning to represent the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Her Excellency Rebecca Akufo-Addo, who in all sincerity would have wished to be here in person, but for an equally important assignment, Her Excellency, the First Lady, has therefore asked me to convey her apologies. As I was telling people, I'm glad she didn't come because I'm so happy to be here amongst you. I just turned 80 years of age, and then I think you should have invited me to tell you the genesis of clean cooking in Ghana. I qualified as a doctor in 1969, and at that time, the highest cause of mortality, apart from malaria, was diarrhea and malnutrition. You know that the name Kwashiorkor was coined from Ghana, and so that meant malnutrition. And so I'm glad that you are here for clean cooking, and I'm told it's not the first time, but the second time. Her Excellency wouldn't mind me summing up what she had written. She has done a lot towards clean cooking. An example is when she went to the Western region and found people trying to prepare palm nut oil to subsidize their income, but in a very inefficient way and in a very dangerous way. If I should put in, I remember the cases of burns we used to have in the pediatric unit, and also I heard somebody talking about kerosene. Kerosene poisoning was very rampant in our days. Luckily, all these things have gone down through things like what you are doing now, by forming consensus, inviting people from other countries, all to help in clean cooking and to conserve energy and then save the environment. And so Her Excellency welcomes you to this forum and hopes that at the end of it, from the conclusion, we can better improve the situation and share it with other countries around the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ambassador Dr. Mokwable Edu Jemfi. Reading a speech and sharing a few remarks on behalf of Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana. So are you ready for your jollof? Nigerian jollof, maybe? Sierra Leone jollof? Oh, you want to join the war, sir? It's better than who? Let's not even start that, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to go for a quick break, but please remain seated. Before you do, our break will be 45 minutes. Kindly return to the breakout rooms at 12:15. You may take the break at the coffee station up in the garden, but we also use this opportunity to encourage you to take a look at the expo as part of your coffee break. Now, I'm going to respectfully request that our speakers this morning come back on stage so we can freeze this moment in time, in history. Kindly come out onto the stage, Your Excellency, the Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana, the Honorable Minister of Energy, of course, Dimfna, CEO of Clean Cooking Alliance. Please come up to the stage. Yes, my one and only brother, Rocky Dauni, please join them. So all our speakers from this morning, kindly come up onto the stage. Your Excellency, please join us on the stage. And everybody else, you are more than welcome to stick around, but please, we encourage you to exit from the back door to where the coffee break is happening. Kindly from the back, kindly. We have only 45 minutes for the coffee break, so please do make it quick. I know that you also want to take pictures of our special guests. Please do so, but everybody else, kindly from the back door. Please exit from the back door only to the coffee break, which is in the garden. From the back door only, please. Kindly go to the back, through the back door to access coffee, which is in the garden, and to access the expo. Please don't use the center doors. Kindly use only the back door to exit the building. And where are my official photographers? Over there, wonderful.